See your best, your best. Your midnight will change, the pain will go. See your best. I know the best is yet to come. God knows your best is yet to. Enlarge our territory. And immediately I thought about the cry of Jabez in 1 Chronicles 4. Now, yesterday on Monday, we shifted to the business side of things where we had a riveting discussion with Professor Alvin Wint. And the topic was, is the Jamaican economy heading in the right direction? So there we spoke about all the macroeconomic factors, doing a health checkup of the economy, if you wish, talking about things like the debt to GDP ratio, exchange rate, inflation, and the impact of things like the Russian-Ukraine crisis. Now today, we'll still be talking about business. Our topic for this evening is starting and staying in business. So if you have that bright idea and you want to turn it into a business, this evening is for you. And if it is that you already have a business and you want to remain viable, this evening is also for you. And if you work with an organization, guess what? This evening is also for you, because you'll be getting the tools, the skills to cope to help that organization to grow and expand. Now, before we begin this evening, we're going to be having our prayer followed by our welcome.
Eternal Father, thank you firstly for the gift of life. Thank you for all you've done and continue to do for us, your children. Thank you for allowing us to participate in this great plan of salvation that you have orchestrated to save humanity. As I present tonight's program to you, dear Lord, may you grant the leaders of ASI the wisdom, the tact, and the insight to better enhance the lives of the members of this your great church. We know, O Lord, we cannot do it of ourselves. So we are calling upon you to grant us the strength and the patience. May the spirit of unity dwell among us, so as we face obstacles and hindrances, we will still be overcomers together. Help us, O Lord, to totally depend upon you, to grant us innovative minds so we can develop the necessary skills needed to be successful. As we join hands and hearts together all across Jamaica and the world, may our endeavors be successful as we continue to call upon and to depend on you. Grant us once again the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding. And lastly, grant us a place in your eternal kingdom, is my asking with thanksgiving in Jesus' name.
The Northeast Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventist ASI welcomes all participants and viewers to tonight's exposition of Seventh-day Adventist small businesses. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Jamaica, with a membership base of over 300,000, represents over 10% of our population and is by far the largest people group in the country. This means that the economic inputs of this group is not minimal. Our absence will be very telling on the GDP of this country. Tonight's presentation showcases Seventh-day Adventist micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs. Allow me to put in context tonight's meeting. The Seventh-day Adventist MSME occupies a unique position amongst the business class of this country. because our religious habits and lifestyle often restrict the choice of investments available to other categories of MSMEs. This apparent restrictive business climate includes 1. Surrendering the best business day of the week for worship, 2. Returning approximately 20% of our income as tithe and offering, 3. Dietary habits that precludes us from trading in or investing in liquor, tobacco products, coffee and caffeinated beverages, foods such as pork, shellfish, while others totally reject all animal products. 4. Physical deportment that restrict the trade in and wearing of jewelry, makeup, body pairs, or tattoos. 5th, stewardship practices that prevents investments in the entertainment industry, bars and liquor outlets, betting, gaming and lottery shops, coffee farming and coffee shops, delis, jerk stands, jewelry stores, beauty salons, and the fishing of lobster, conch, shrimps. The remainder of us who survives to tell the tale, including transport operators and farmers, close our business on the most lucrative day of the week. 6. The proceeds of Adventist business has a greater likelihood of being invested in the welfare of humanity than purchasing stocks and bonds in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 7. Our existence in a third world economy limits the majority of us from having enough collaterals for startup and retooling loans. The above 7 realities, by all appearances, defies the principles of business and restrict even further our existence. Paradoxically, in the midst of all of these apparent constraints, this sector continues to grow exponentially, numerically, and economically. This sector is linked to the growth of the Seventh-day Adventist Church as its primary source of funding. Any threat to Adventist small business is threat to the existence of the church as well. There is relevance for celebrating our exploits tonight. Our wealth of experience of surviving amidst so much limitations qualifies us to educate our government with ideas on transitioning our country and a trajectory of unparalleled growth. This expose this evening reveals SDA small business not as a group of masochists, but astute strategists, and our exposure demands the highest respect by all our business peers in all sectors of the economy. In conclusion, the foregoing 7 points demonstrate at least 3 realities. A. To survive and grow amidst the foregoing constraints present a more telling sermon confirming the existence of a divine God in our daily operations than we could do on pulpits. The Seventh-day Adventist small business presents one of the greatest examples of faith that works. B. Our willingness to forego so much testifies that we are just as willing to sacrifice our profits for the salvation of our workers and countrymen. C. Achieving so much out of so little qualifies the Adventist small business for scientific analysis. The foregoing reasons lends relevance to tonight's presentation. This evening, we, the successful business leaders of the Northeast Territory, bring heartfelt greetings from the turquoise waters of Long Bay to the grandeur of the Rio Grande, to the majestic cloud-capped peaks of the Blue Mountain. We welcome you from those of us resident in the curves and turns of the junction to the meandering meadows of Port Maria. From Hector's River to White River, we welcome you to this platform. I thank you.
Welcome, and this is Plants R Us Jamaica. We are a small local backyard plant nursery located in Drax Hall, St. Anne, Jamaica.
Owned by the McBeans, our main goal at Plants R Us Jamaica is to bring the absolute highest quality plants to the public using eco-friendly growing practices.
You live and work overseas, but you're building a house here in Jamaica. Because you're so far away, you're physically not able to go to a store for all your electrical and lighting needs. But did you know you could go to fosrich.com to make all your electrical, lighting, and solar energy purchases? Shop now and your relatives in Jamaica will receive the order delivered right at their doorsteps. Find peace of mind by letting Fosrich Company Limited worry about your lighting, electrical, and solar energy needs, LED bulbs, and Siemens products. Visit our website and shop now at fosrich.com/shop. Get your delivery at your door or office. At Fosrich, we serve you better.
Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, you're watching day 3 of ASI Jamaica Week 2022. And our topic for tonight is starting and staying in business. Now, before we move forward, just to let you know that our prayer was done by Elder Creighton Latibodier, and he's the executive member of the ASI Northeast Jamaica chapter. And the prayer was done by Noel Terrier, and he's the president of ASI Northeast Jamaica chapter. As I've said before, the topic is starting and staying in business. And you know how we do things on this platform. If you have a question, please type it in the chat. I'm going to be telling you about our panelists shortly who will also be making presentations. So as you listen to the presentation, write your question in the chat. And if it is that you have other burning issues that you would want to be addressed, you can also write those in the chat. Our first presenter will be Georgia Silvera Finnegan, and she's a chartered accountant and tax consultant. Georgia?
Thank you. For the last 2 years, I believe we have become more creative, more entrepreneurial than any other time in the business community. The pandemic has allowed added time for many individuals to generate business ideas, either because you have found yourself with more time on hand, maybe because you were made redundant, or maybe because you were laid off from your job, or persons found themselves with more time to think of monetizing untapped talent, skills, and resources. In fact, the Glen reports in January of this year, January 14th, that data from the Companies Office of Jamaica suggests that more entities were registering with the Companies Office in 2021 than prior periods. The Companies Office also reported that there was a 33% increase of incorporations for businesses and 24% for companies. When we look at the international scene, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, otherwise known as GEM, that studies entrepreneurship activities worldwide, reported in its 2021-2022 report that entrepreneurial activities were increased over the last 2 years. The ASI, and by extension the Jamaica Union of Seventh-day Adventists, seeks to create the enabling environment for hard, robust, and credible information for its members and the wider society. It is hoped that the information provided this afternoon will be a catalyst for the key entrepreneurial decisions that will stimulate sustainable forms of entrepreneurship and promote healthy entrepreneurial ecosystems within Jamaica Union, the ASI community, and Jamaica, thus allowing us to break out of our walls and to enlarge our territory. So this evening's presentation, I will be breaking it down in two parts: starting your business and the recommended actions prior to starting the business, and also the recommended actions for staying in business. Now, in order to start a business, we're gonna need an idea. And most businesses germinate from an idea. The idea generally stems from a need, whether it is your own need or needs that you have identified around you and that you will seek to fulfill with a business venture. Having sat and come up with the idea, what is required next is for us or for you to do what we call a feasibility study. And what is this? It's really to ensure that the business idea is feasible, feasibility study, or the business idea is viable. And viability is dependent on whether or not there is a demand for the product that you're thinking of, or a demand for the service, or are there resources available, whether financial resources, whether raw material, are these things available? So the feasibility study will cover how viable your idea is. And before you move further into considering a business startup, one should assess his or her own strengths and weaknesses. Now, not all persons, we can create entrepreneurs with training, but entrepreneurship most times is inherent. And so you would have to do an intrinsic look at your own behavior. Do you have a positive mindset? Are you resilient? Do you handle rejection, stress? Do you wish or are you willing to fight for this business that you want to start? We have another P, and I've broken down the assessment of your own strengths into 3 Ps. So the positive mindset, the second one is passion. Do you have that inherent passion, that drive to start your business? And 3, what's your perception about failure and risk? There are many persons who are risk averse and will not take the plunge into entrepreneurship or business. So you'll have to assess your own strengths and weaknesses to determine whether or not you want to venture into starting a business. Having done that, you would need to select the type of business that you would want to pursue. And in selecting the type of business you want to pursue, that will be hinged on the long-term plans that you have for the business, what goals you have in mind. Now, the selection of the business type, it's either a sole trader or a partnership or a limited liability company. Now, we're going to look at the difference. I mean, most persons would say, I want to go into business. But there's a marked difference between what we refer to as a business as opposed to a company. And a business really is simply an individual who is trading under a business name. So you can have John Joe trading as Joe Shop, right? So that's a business. But when we come to a company is said to have a separate legal entity from its owners. Right? So whereas a sole trader and the business are one and the same, an entity is a company is a separate legal entity. So what are the types of businesses which we would have said before? Sole trader business, partnership companies, public limited company, private limited company, which we'll be focusing on. Now, in order to select the business type that you will venture in, it's good to look at the pros and cons of each. So for a sole trader, it's easy to set up, easier decision making, and decision making rests with the owner. There is increased privacy, as your financial documents are not publicly available, and all profits belong to the owner. What are the cons? What are the disadvantages? It is not regarded as a separate legal entity. It is not easily transferable as a going concern, meaning if the owner dies, most times the business will die with the owner. There's unlimited liability, meaning if the business has a debt, that debt belongs to the owner. And crucial, one of the disadvantages is that it's difficult to raise finance when you're a sole trader. Another disadvantage that you should consider is that tax rates may become unfavorable as the business income increases, because presently in Jamaica, we have a 25% below a $6 million income stream, and then that rate is 30% beyond. Let's look at a company. What are the pros? It's regarded as a separate legal entity, meaning that the liability of the company is limited to the company. So if you invest in the company, you cannot lose more than what you have put in the company. Corporation tax is fixed. Registering a company means that no one else can use that name. If a member dies, the company continues to exist. It's easily transferable as a going concern. And it's also easier to expand and better able to obtain credit. What are the disadvantages? One disadvantage is that additional responsibilities for compliance with the Companies Office of Jamaica. Incorporation fees are higher. Company information is public. Now, having looked at the various structures and having decided whether or not you will pursue a sole trader or partnership or a company, the next thing that needs to happen is a business plan. And for any business to succeed, you must have a business plan. You must have a plan. And I have this extract here from Walt Disney. It says, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So you would have had the idea, you would have shared it with your friends, you would have looked at the types. Let's quit talking and let's start doing some work. So the business plan. The business plan will outline the business description, market analysis and strategy, looking at what the market, your marketing and sales plan, how you plan to get the product or service to the potential customers and clients, your competitive analysis, looking at your competitors and how you're going to make your service better, products and service description, what you will be making, what services you'll be offering, operating plan, and very, very important, you would need a cash flow projection for at least 3 years, which will indicate the period the company will make a profit and what we call your return on investment. So if you invest 100 million, after X years, what percentage am I getting as a return? And this will gauge you when entering into business. Having done your cash flow projections and your business plan, it's time to register your business. And the first thing to do in registering your business is to go to the Companies Office of Jamaica website and do what we call a company business name search. You complete and submit the company name search and name reservation form, which is a Form 6, at the Companies Office. And there's a cost associated with that. You can see that on your screen. That cost is $3,500. It's very important for you to check, because you may have a company name and you may proceed to do a website, you may proceed to print flyers with a company name that you cannot use. So it's very, very important that you seek first to check whether or not the company name is available. Another thing we are encouraging is that you develop an acronym for your company name so that it's on the lips of your potential customers, and design a logo. And this logo, once customers and potential clients see that logo, your products and services will become identifiable easily. So I have on screen where you could go to register your business. In Kingston, Grenada Way, in Montego Bay, it's Eldermere Drive, Fairview. And the website is there. For the registration of your business, remember we have business and company. For the registration of your business, you're going to need to have in mind your business name. If you want to register as an accountant, you would need a practicing certificate or any other discipline that requires a practicing certificate or license, proof of your identification and residence. Once the documents are approved by the Companies Office of Jamaica, you will be provided with a registration certificate which lasts for 3 years, and you would need to renew it thereafter. Now, when we move to the registration of a company, the process is similar, a little more detailed. So you will need to choose a company name, decide on the company structure, choose the directors, appoint a company secretary, choose shareholders, and identify individuals who will have significant control over the company. Now, you are also required to register for tax compliance accounts, and this process in the last 5 or so years have been integrated at the company's office, so that registration takes place there. Now, the next step after registering your company, which is very, very important, is to open a bank account, because we don't want to commingle personal funds with business funds. You set up your bank account in your business's name. You appoint signatories to the account in case you have chosen a checking account. Now, moving on, you need to look at what your startup costs are. So pre-operating expenses would include costs of the business plan, research costs, etc. Initial startup costs would include advertising and promotion, website fee, domain cost, employee cost, capital costs if you're going to need plant and machinery for manufacturing, or office equipment if you're going to have brick and mortar set up. Now let's look quickly at your potential source of financing for your business. Personal investment, either from your savings or your investment sucked away, or you can have equity investment. So you have investors sharing a part of your business. Most times, per startup, you don't want investors to have a percentage of your business, so you could have it over a tenure, let's say 5 years, and then you have the opportunity to buy back. You can also look at debt financing, where you get a loan from a bank or from a friend. There are also opportunities for grant financing, and I'm going to share with you quickly the opportunities for grant finance. The Development Bank of Jamaica offers grant vouchers to small, medium, and micro enterprises. They also have what we call an Ignite program, which looks at companies and businesses that are innovative, and they encourage this business venture by offering grants. The grants are channeled through what we call business service intermediaries, and the intermediaries will provide coaching, mentorship, project management support, technical expertise, and they will execute a structured program to build your business. You can also get financing from the Caribbean Development Bank. The websites are here: Caribbean Export Development Agency, and we also have another entity, the First Angels entity, which gives you equity investment, and they provide mentorship. And by equity investment, they invest in your business, they take a share of your business while providing funding. Now let's look quickly at having set up your business, what you do or what you need to do to stay in business. There are two sets of factors, external factors, and there are internal factors. The external factors we have very little or no control over, which would be your taxation, your ease of doing business, the regulator framework within Jamaica. Now, again, I'm referring back to the GEM, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, which suggests, and the World Bank report, 2021-22 report suggests that there has been significant improvement in Jamaica with the ease of doing business, access to financing, reduction in costs of taxation, which will make operating businesses and companies in Jamaica much easier. Quickly, I'm going to go through some highlights. Get organized. If you want to stay in business, you have to be organized, complete the tasks that are essential to your business survival. Keep detailed records. Keep detailed records, books, financial records. Why? They will assist you in determining the health of your business, identify where improvement is needed, determine whether or not you're making a loss or a profit, and the records will allow you to better source financing for working capital and expansion. You cannot go to a bank or a financial institution for a loan without proper records. And also, you need to keep proper records for taxation and regulatory compliance obligations. Analyze your competitors is another thing you need to do to stay in business. You need to know what's happening with your competitors, what they're doing, what products are they offering, so that you can strategize, differentiate your product, and get that competitive edge. You need to also understand risk and rewards. Take calculated risk to help the business to grow. Another factor in staying in business is your location. So, for example, if you're going to offer a service, let's say a restaurant, you would want to be in a town center, highly trafficked, right? If you're going to offer a home for the elderly, you would not want to be in that location. You'd want to be in a more serene location, right? So location is key depending on your target market. Be creative. Always look for ways to improve. Be able to pivot. By that we mean, as the environment changes, especially with the pandemic, be able to change your strategy. Offer online alternatives to your customers for purchasing and for payment. Networking and marketing is very important. And networking and marketing doesn't necessarily mean you're doing that to get clients. What it means, it also incorporates partnering with companies for complementary products. So a company is making bread. You're doing jelly. Guava jelly, as a small business, you partner with that company for complementary products. You also ensure that your brand image is sustained. And by that we mean we find the right persons for our business, ensure that when you employ someone, the person represents your brand. For example, in the service industry, the person should have a natural smile. It shouldn't be forced for service industry. Intelligent, naturally friendly, pleasant. Choose an appropriate supplier. Cheap versus quality, depending on your products and your target market. And provide great customer service. Engage entities to provide assistance for your business. The JBDCJ, Young Entrepreneurs Association, UTEC has an incubator program. Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association also provide help, and the Development Bank of Jamaica. I'm going to share with you a thought. Successful entrepreneurship can both drive economic recovery and meet the ambitions of talented and creative individuals across all economies. And in unleashing the entrepreneurial potential, offers a much better route forward as we break out of our walls to enlarge our territory. I hope that after this presentation, I would have unleashed whatever entrepreneurial potential there were. Thank you very much.
We shop every day, but have you ever thought that these products are made right here in Jamaica? Let me introduce you to United Plastics Company Limited, a plastic bottle manufacturer which makes bottles of different shapes and sizes for the food, sanitation, chemical, and pharmaceutical markets. Some of these bottles include the 5-gallon, 1-liter round, 16, 12, and 10-ounce juice bottles, and 16 and 8-ounce cylindrical bottles. The process begins with imported plastic resin, which is fed into a blow molder. The material is melted at high temperatures, extruded in a molten form into molds specific for each bottle, blown into shape, cooled rapidly, and ejected as a fully formed bottle. The bottles are then trimmed, tested, and packaged. United Plastics, a member of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, started production in January of 1996 and today employs 50 workers. You may visit United Plastics Company Limited at 4 Olympic Way, Kingston 11, and contact them through email uplastics@cwjamaica.com or call at 876-923-6599, 876-454-7670, or 876-615-2771.
This is United Plastics Company Limited, where the customer is number one.
Maranatha Health Food Stores and Vegetarian Restaurant. To share Christ in the marketplace, Maranatha Health Food Stores and Vegetarian Restaurant has created Complete Healing as its flagship ministry outreach program. Patrons can, however, access health literatures and glow tracks in our 5 locations. Complete Healing Through the Laws of Health is a non-profit ministry created by Maranatha Health Food Store with an aim to assist individuals in improving the quality of their life through the use of nature's resources. The holistic teaching of health reformation and its impact in sustaining life, the preservation of health, and directing souls to Christ forms the core of this ministry. The team of passionate trained medical missionaries whose main purpose is to preach and teach health reform to everyone they meet is led by co-founders Dr. Joan Lamley and Terrence Taylor. Through this ministry, souls have been born for the kingdom, many prodigals have returned to the fold, and countless Bible studies are being done. Complete Healing Through the Laws of Health operates naturopathic clinics in 3 physical locations: New Kingston, Mandeville, and Brownstown, plus virtually. They also provide spiritual health and counseling for persons via the prayer platform Zoom meeting that meets every morning called Prayer Mountain, birthed from the November 2021 medical missionary training. This prayer ministry also conducts fasting and prayer every second Wednesday, monthly. During the pandemic, the ministry began a children's program called Young Missionaries for Christ to engage the children and teach them the health message and the love of God. As this ministry seeks to provide complete healing for the sick, a lifestyle center is being constructed in Bamboo, St. Anne, Jamaica, and there are plans to offer hydrotherapy and massage services at the Kingston office. We are often told that life is a journey. The path we take and the choices we make will lead us somewhere either to success or failure. This is also true for health. The lifestyle choices we make will either lead us to health or sickness. Through this ministry, we have seen the lame walk, the not-so-blind see clear, and the trouble-minded freed from life's doubts and fears. In the year 2021, between Maranatha Health Food and Complete Healing's weekly health lectures, Bible class, cooking class, medical missionary training, and other presentations via Zoom, over 93,550 persons were reached, including children. Numerous praise reports of health and healing were received, and at least 4 baptisms were done. As the pandemic restrictions open, 2 physical health fairs were conducted, and many more are planned. Here at Maranatha Health Food Store and Vegetarian Restaurant, we are committed to share Christ in our workplace.
Thanks for staying with us as we continue our discussion on starting and staying in business. We had a riveting presentation from Georgia earlier, and you can stick around because you'll be able to post questions to her when we reach the question and answer segment. And remember that quote that she had from Walt Disney, something I think I need to tell myself as well. Stop talking and start doing. And she also spoke about some of the best practices in maintaining a business. We're going to come back to Georgia's presentation in a bit. As I said, you'll be able to post questions to her. So please feel free to write your questions in the chat. Now we're going to be moving on to another presentation, and this time we'll be hearing from Tanya Allgrove, and she's the Assistant General Manager, SME Business at NCB. Tanya?
Hi, good evening, everyone. And let me first express my gratitude for you having us here this evening. Let me first address, there is, I think that there's a sense on occasion that this concept of an SME is a bit of a buzzword. What does it really mean? Is it important? And I think it's really important to highlight the importance of SMEs in our economy. Really, the estimates vary, but anywhere between 85 and 90% of all businesses in Jamaica are SMEs. And also, they represent employment for over 60% right across the country. So I think we can appreciate that the role that SMEs play in our economy is very, very critical. And this is why at NCB, we are certainly so, we consider this segment so important to us, because one of the very important elements within NCB is our commitment to nation building. And NCB's long-standing commitment to nation building is consistent with our goals for Jamaican SMEs, as we seek to provide the necessary support to bridging the gap, to become sustainable and profitable businesses, create employment, build wealth, and grow the economy. And this really feeds into our overall approach for our segment and how we address the needs right across the board. So at NCB, we have developed a specialized support structure dedicated to meeting the needs of the segment. We have provided specialized programs. We've developed specialized products, services, and programs geared towards SMEs to address the special needs in growing their businesses and accessing banking needs in an efficient manner. We've designed specialized funding options with partial guarantee programs, capacity building programs, as we seek to support SMEs in developing their businesses, growing their businesses, and developing sustainable and profitable businesses. We have, and I think I want to highlight this because it's something that we're often asked about, we have developed simplified lending frameworks for smaller SMEs to improve the ability of those borrowers to qualify for financing. But I think I want to extend a little bit outside of financing, because when people think of the relationship of SMEs with their bank, the first thing that often is highlighted is financing, and financing is very, very important. But I think what I'd like to share is a slightly different way of thinking about it. Banks are there as your partners for you as you seek to operate and grow your businesses. Think of us as sort of your core systems in the background. So we support you as you try to operate your daily businesses, whether you're making payroll, you are collecting payments from your customers, you're making payments to your suppliers, you are purchasing goods and services, you are buying equipment. The bank is in the background of all of those activities. And so one of the things that we have really sought to do at NCB is to try to ensure that we have all the products, services, and solutions to allow you to run your businesses seamlessly. So what we are hoping that we are providing for you is sort of a core underpinning to your business as you run your daily operations. So it can go anywhere from simple deposit and transaction solutions. So we have your basic checking and savings accounts, to meet all your needs, but we also try to make sure that we have payment solutions to allow you to receive and make payments seamlessly. We've tried to ensure that you have easy access to your accounts, that you can do those operations from your desk so that you don't have to be moving up and down. What you don't want to be doing is spending your time doing your banking. You want to be spending your time running your business. So I just want to highlight quickly here this concept of going digital. And it's gotten a bit of a bad name, but I think it's important to highlight why this is something that we consider important for you and as you seek to grow your business. Digital solutions allow you as a business to grow and expand and access more customers in a much more seamless manner, but very importantly, it is less capital intensive. So just as an example, you don't want to have to build a location in Kingston and then another one in Montego Bay and another one in Port Antonio. If you can actually set up your business in a way that allows you to access business right across the country without having to set up brick and mortar, expand, have to buy more trucks and vehicles, then what this allows you to do is by using digital solutions, you can actually grow and expand. Now, we have a wide range, and I have a handful of examples here, and I'm not necessarily going to go through them in detail, but I think what I'm trying to highlight here is that we have the ability to work with you, understand your business, and develop appropriate solutions to allow you to grow your business in a digital way, in a seamless manner. So I'm going to get to the financing because everybody wants to know about the financing. So we have a very wide range of financing solutions. We run the gamut, and anytime we see a gap, we try to make sure we fill it. These solutions are specially designed for SMEs. They're not broadly available. What we've done is we've really tried to make sure we're targeting what we're developing to the needs of the sector. And obviously small, micro, and medium may have slightly different needs, but we have sought to ensure that we understand the segments, we understand you, and try to make sure that what we're developing is in keeping with what it is that you need. I do want to highlight that we do have partnerships, and I have highlighted here the DBJ because the DBJ has been a fantastic partner to us. We leverage their programs quite extensively between their technical voucher programs, their partial guarantee programs, and we ensure that we're using those to the best advantage of our SMEs. I also am going to highlight a couple of our very special facilities because these are the ones that we think have very broad interest and are probably better targeted for some of our smaller SMEs in this case. So one of the complaints has always been that financing is too difficult to get. It is something that we really set our minds to, and we have really developed these very specialized solutions, particularly for micro and small businesses who also may have limited collateral, but they have good banking, very good banking operations. They operate their accounts in a solid manner, and they meet all their obligations. We have developed programs specially for this segment, and this is specially designed with easy access to financing. So in many cases, you don't need financials for these particular facilities. There are exceptions, but for the vast majority of people who are going to be accessing these particular facilities actually don't need to provide us with financials. You have to have operations with NCB that demonstrate your capacity to pay. In the merchant advance case, we've designed this specifically in relation to your POS flows. That is when you swipe your credit card, or as people swipe their credit or debit cards. When you settle with NCB, we allow you to borrow against those flows. And you borrow on an unsecured basis. On the basis of those flows, you can get up to $25 million. And we have a similar one for people who don't actually have businesses that utilize POS machines. In a similar way, you can actually borrow up to $15 million. And I'm sure you'll forgive me, but I must use the opportunity to highlight to you our brand new baby in our house, which is our NCB SME Boost. This facility was very specially designed for our medium businesses who are already in operations. They already have businesses well established, but they're seeking to grow and expand. where this is very especially targeted towards productive sectors. And when I say productive sectors, I'm speaking about manufacturing, agro-processing, export businesses, tourism, all of those kinds of businesses that we believe are very, very critical as Jamaica seeks to regain traction in our economy and continue to grow. This is a facility where we have gotten a lot of interest. You can borrow up to $250 million, and you can borrow for up to 10 to 15 years, depending on the purpose. It has very special interest rates attached to it. Conditions do apply, but we have really ensured that we've ring-fenced this facility because we want to ensure that we have this available to try to boost the economic activity, boost productive capacity right across the board. So I'm going to leave you with that, but I do invite anyone to come and visit us, check out our options, and I do thank you again for having us here this evening.
The Three Angels Mobile Clinic Unit had been put on pause based on government restrictions. However, with God, all things are possible. On October 24th, 2021, the mobile unit partnered with the Ministry of Health and journeyed to Cross Keys in South Manchester. This was in an attempt to vaccinate as many individuals as possible. Approximately 30 individuals were vaccinated on that day. With the lifting of the COVID-19 restrictions in early March 2022, God be praised, we were able to move forward and resume our outreaches. Since April 2022 to date, the mobile clinic has offered services to approximately 257 persons, including adults and children. The services offered and the number of individuals who were benefited since then are 58 males who had prostate screening done, 73 had HIV tests done, 43 females had pap smears done, 150 individuals had blood pressure screening done, 15 individuals had cholesterol screening done, 50 individuals had blood sugar testing done, 26 individuals had weight and height checked, 24 did body mass index, and 104 individuals had dental screenings completed, with 64 receiving cleanings. The team visited the following communities in April 2022: Mason River in Clarendon, Trial in Junction St. Elizabeth, and Dobson in Colleyville. This was done through the partnership with the Southern Regional Health Authority for their Farmers Group intervention. We gave our best to the farmers who diligently toil the soil daily in an effort to provide our ground provisions. Additionally, we partnered with the Ministry of Health and Wellness Southern Regional Health Authority for a health fair, giving back to the community of Rocky Point in Clarendon. We also teamed up with the Meadowvale Seventh-day Adventist Church in Kingston and the Asia Seventh-day Adventist Church in South Manchester to help our fellow brothers and sisters. Last but certainly not least, while we look forward to serving others in the future for the events we have lined up, we cannot forget the mobile unit is currently being utilized 3 days a week to accommodate the dental clinic housed at the Manchester Comprehensive Clinic, which is currently undergoing renovation. We are happy to offer our services to various communities through our ministry to help touch lives throughout our island, Jamaica. Continue to pray for the team and also that more individuals will volunteer their time and talents in the service of our Master.
Welcome. My name is Raymond Williams, the owner of Race Promotion and Business Solution. Race Promotion and Business Solution offers a wide variety of services to our customers. On the promotional side, we offer photography and videography services for all type of events, such as weddings, graduations, birthdays, and any special event you would like to capture with your family or friends. Business Solution. We offer functions of business such as marketing, accounting, HR function, branding, and other functions of business. Race Promotion started when I saw the need for small business to scale. I realized that they were having a lot of challenges in the functions of business, especially the accounting and marketing. After leaving Northern Caribbean University, I grouped a couple of my friends and we started this business. Race Promotion is here to assist you in your functions of business and pairing this with capturing your special events to let you smile. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our numbers are 573-3951. That's 573-3951. Race Promotion. We save the day literally.
All right, so okay, yes, it's my turn. We're back with Tanya Allgrove, the Assistant General Manager, SME Business Solutions at NCB, and Georgia Silvera Finnekin, a Chartered Accountant and a Tax Consultant. So it's time for our question and answer session. I think I'm seeing one question in the chat so far, and we're going to be getting to that. But if you also have other questions, don't just sit around your computer or TV looking. Type them in the chat. That's why we're here, to facilitate you. So I'm looking forward to seeing the other questions popping up in the chat as we start the discussion. Let me start off with you, Georgia. You spoke about the need to have that idea in creating a business. What if I have an idea, but we know that nothing new exists under the sun? I have an idea, but it seems as if the area is saturated. What do I do?
Okay, if you have an idea that seems to exist and is quite prominent, what you could do is look at, let's say, a product. How is the product packaged? Are you comfortable with the packaging? Right? You could improve on the packaging. How is the product made available? What is it that what exists now, you'll have to go in store to get that product? You could make it available where you deliver, you know, to the potential clients. So although an idea exists or product and services exists, you can improve on those products and services and still generate business from that.
All right, going over to you, Tanya. Capacity building is an important part of helping businesses to actually do what they need to do. For example, the business plan. A lot of business people struggle with the business plan. So I have an idea, I have something written on paper to some extent, and I come to NCB. How can you assist, if at all?
So we don't prepare business plans internally, but we do have a number of partnerships right across the board. JBDC would be one of them, for example, but they're not the only one. What we do, however, is that we also leverage the technical voucher programs from the DBJ to provide some assistance in paying for it, because that's the other element is people feel constrained by the ability to actually pay for some of these services, and they don't really know where to turn. So we would usually leverage partnerships in that form, generally speaking, for business plans.
Okay, you're done? Okay, because I wasn't interrupting you, no problem. Georgia, you also spoke about record keeping, and Tanya alluded to it as well, the importance of not commingling the funds, your personal funds with your business funds, because if it is that you need a loan, you need to establish what has been happening in terms of your revenues and expenditure with your business. What other records should I be keeping up to date?
Record keeping is critical for business success and for you to determine where you are in your business, how profitable you are. Outside of records, you will not be able to determine that. So records include, you can have automated systems, information systems that automatically generate your reports from your data entry. Or if you're a small business, you could have manual records of your sales. Let's take the simplest example. If you are a hairdresser, how many clients did you get today? You make a note of your clientele, what they paid. So you'll have a record of your total income. You're going to buy products. Have a record of the cost associated with the products. There you are incurring transportation expenses. Document what your transportation expenses are. Because when you now go to seek financing from the bank, they're going to ask you for a cash flow projections, income and expenditure accounts. And you're only able to draft that income and expenditure account, or your accountant is only able to draft that account if there are records and data available to provide that information to financial institutions. Record keeping is also very, very vital for your tax obligations, filing your tax returns, because, you know, as we all know, the tax is based on the profit made, and you can only determine your profit if you have a record of your total income and your expenses. And so record keeping is very, very vital to sustaining businesses. You will need to know, are you expending too much in an area? Is this expense too excessive over the last 3 months, so that you can curtail expenses and be more efficient? And record keeping allows you to do that.
Yeah, so for example, using back the same analogy that you made about the hairdresser, if you realize that you have a shampoo that you normally costs $200, but you can get the same shampoo to wash the client's hair with the same, should I say, level of quality, and you can reduce your expenditure by perhaps $50 if you get a shampoo for $150. So practical things like that will help you if it is that you keep proper records. Anything you want to add to that, Tanya?
I think I'd like to just highlight that the matter of record keeping, oftentimes people refer to the need to give those records to the bank. And I think Georgia just highlighted something that's very, very important. It's something that we keep trying to share with our clients, that the record keeping is for you. This is how you make your decisions in your business. So it's not just about trying to save money. It's really about understanding, are you actually selling your product or service at a profit? Because it's oftentimes the case where individuals are operating a business and there is cash coming in, but they don't understand why they have no money at the end of the month. And it's oftentimes because they don't understand the inputs in their business. They don't understand what the decisions that they're making in their business are, how they're affecting their operations.
In your presentation, you mentioned about business solutions, and for example, digital solutions was a term that you used. Give me a practical example of what you would be referring to for a particular type of business.
And it's going to vary quite a bit because it's going to vary based on the business need. But, you know, we do have a couple examples. Certainly during the last couple of years, the ability to really encourage customers to make that shift has really skyrocketed. So I can give you a couple examples. We had this, obviously no names, but we had this hardware operation, relatively new business, family business. They provided a wide range of products and services, and they actually provided their services island-wide. You know, so they went on to a lot of the standard products and services. We actually onboarded them into the standard POS, and you know, which is, you know, again, the swipe machine,
right,
to be able to collect payments for their goods and services. But what they're finding is that it was limited. So what they were able to do is that we have this solution called a payment button, and I'm not going to try to explain to you what that is. But what it allows them to do is it allows a lot of customers who would normally have access to a swipe machine to actually make a payment to you as the business owner. So I don't have to come to you with a POS machine for you to be able to swipe a card that you may not have. This payment button allows you to actually make that payment without a card to me, without me having to bring this machine to you. What that allows you to do is it allows you to expand where you can sell. Access to customers is one of those things that people don't necessarily think about, but if you have to go to every single customer to collect a payment, it means you can only sell to so many customers. By expanding the ability to collect payments, what it allows you to do, now think of Amazon. Amazon sells all over the world. Why? Because they have a platform, it's a digital platform that allows them to collect payments from people all over the world. And so when you look at, for example, at things like marketplaces, we have a solution which is called a marketplace solution. It's like a sales aggregator. And what it allows you to do, think of like a food court. Mm-hmm. So you have all of these things in a food court, all of these different food providers, and you can actually aggregate. So this one individual can actually collect orders for all of those businesses within the food court, and they can collect the payment on their behalf and arrange for the deliveries. So think of those kinds of solutions and think of the impact it has on a business trying to grow without having now to actually go and build out new locations everywhere.
All right, thank you for that, Tanya. So for persons who might argue that I can't afford to pay the bank for a point-of-sale machine, in the end, it will redound to their benefit.
Well, think of the cost of building a new factory instead.
All right. Okay, I have some questions coming in. Let me pose this one to you, Georgia. The question is, what is the difference between markup and margin?
Okay, markup and margin are both measures of profit. However, the difference is the base. So whereas markup is profit, expressed as a percentage of your cost price or your costs, margin is profit expressed as a percentage of your selling price. So we could use a simple example. If your costs amount to $100 and you made a profit of $20, it means that your markup is your profit over your cost, which is 20 over 100 as a percentage. Whereas your margin, because your cost is 100 and your profit is 20, your selling price would be 120. So your margin now would be your profit, which is 20, expressed as a percentage of your selling price, which is 20 over 120.
And it's not so difficult for those people who think they're not mathematically inclined. At the end of this, you can just go back and listen to Georgia and just write it down, and you'll realize that it's actually a simple calculation. Tanya, you spoke about SME boost, I think it was, in your presentation. Could you tell us, this is a question coming in, the interest rate for the SME boost that NCB has?
So this is a particular facility that we have ring-fenced the funding for. Recognizing the current environment that we're in, obviously what we have done is that we have earmarked this funding for a very special set of clients. When I say special set of clients, special purpose, it was really for businesses in the productive sectors. And there are some other conditions that apply, and I put all that caveat in to say we've actually determined that we're retaining the rate of 6.95% for that particular pool of funds.
6.95%.
6.95%.
Okay. And you also mentioned about your unsecured loans. Do you have secured loans as well?
We have a very broad range we have an entire product suite. We highlighted those in particular because they are our most popular facilities. They are very easy to access. Those are fully unsecured, and they are really at unsecured rates, but even within the market, the rates are actually quite attractive. We obviously are in an environment now with rising rates, and we recognize that we have had to make some adjustments, but even then it's still pretty competitive. I'm not going to give you a rate here because they actually vary a little bit, but the point about those facilities in particular is how easy they are to access. You can actually get that within a week.
I'm tempted to say something here, but okay, a week. We really hope that can happen with the customers. And
it does.
Okay, then, no problem. You hear that? She's telling you that it does happen in a week. So I guess you can try out some of the solutions and products that NCB has. Since we're on the topic of interest rates, we've seen where the Bank of Jamaica has increased interest rates by 450 basis points over the last couple of months. It's now at 5%. SMEs are worried. If it is that I'm faced with rising interest rates from your bank or other financial institutions, what do I do? Because customers don't have as much spending power, considering what's happening in the economy now.
It is a scenario that we have had to be monitoring very carefully. You'll recognize that, and this is not unique to NCB, you would recognize that all the institutions right across the board have really tried to manage the level of increase that we are putting on our customers, because we do recognize that it is a shock to have such a rapid rise in rates, attached to something that you already have an obligation for. But we are going to have to raise rates. I'm not going to try to back away from that. We are in an environment of rates being aggressively increased, and we are going to have to move them. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that our customers have an ability to make whatever adjustments that they need to make while we make ours.
So I can come in to sit with you and negotiate my rate?
It's going to vary based on facilities. I mean, at the end of the day, we are increasing rates. We have, as I said, for the existing facilities, we have certainly tried to maintain a limitation on how much we've increased those rates. But certainly new facilities that we're negotiating, you will see an increase in the rates on new facilities for sure.
Okay. Georgia, back to you. What do? I'm a business owner. And in Jamaica, and everywhere you go, persons want discounts. So you have the price of an item, and you say, this is my price, $100,000. You give it to the client, and them want ball on your price, to little or nothing. You're a business owner, perhaps a partnership or a single owner, and you don't want to lose the client, but at the same time, you can't operate at a loss. How do you negotiate that?
Okay, so prior to setting your prices, you would have determined, back to the question of markup and margin, you would have determined what markup I want on my goods. So you would probably design a spread to say markup between 10 and 15% or 15 and 20%, which will allow you to negotiate discounts with your clients. It's always good not to have a static markup, to say a fixed markup, right? And you based your projections and your bottom line on that spread, which will give you the latitude for discounts.
But what do I do then in the case that you may give a client one cost and another client gets another cost and you appear disingenuous?
Well, as businesses mature, the flexibility of discounts get less. So, for example, if you have a structured business, so to speak, a mature business, you would have a set discount, and there's no flexibility in that at times, right? You also have differentiation between your customers. So if you have a customer that buys in large quantities, it is expected that the larger quantity purchaser, customer, will get a higher discount, right? And so, and they will benefit from the economies of scale with purchasing in large quantities.
All right. Thank you very much, Georgia. And I'm going back to you, Tanya, a bit. Earlier, we spoke about unsecured and secured loans. This is a question coming in. Is NCB now using inventory and receivables as collateral?
No.
No. So what are you using as collateral as we speak?
So currently, we would have a range of collateral that would be accessible, but certainly we have been leveraging quite heavily, particularly for this segment, we've been leveraging the DBJ Partial Guarantee Program quite extensively. And that is something which which a lot of SMEs have found very, very useful, particularly where you have very limited collateral available. Obviously, we do take the traditional collateral collateral types, but you do have to recognize that we are also operating in a regulatory environment, and there are rules around how collateral is taken and what it represents. So if I lend to you against inventory and receivables, I'm lending to you on an unsecured basis.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tanya. So we're going to be taking a break, but don't go too far. Stay where you are. Drink your water while you listen to this commercial, and let's see the message that we have in store.
is top-notch physiotherapy in a nutshell. Rehab, fitness, massage, we do it all. For appointments, call us.
Thank you for staying with us. We're continuing our discussion with a representative, the Assistant General Manager for NCB, and we also have Tanya, who is a chartered accountant and tax consultant. Now, let me start back with you, Georgia. And I think I mixed up the titles a while ago, didn't I? Georgia is a tax consultant and chartered accountant, and Tanya represents NCB. All right, so Georgia, let's talk about some of the softwares that persons can use if they have a business.
Okay, the simplest would be a simple Excel spreadsheet, but in terms of software, you could use, or accounting packages, you could use QuickBooks. QuickBooks comes with the tutorial manual, easy to use. You get your reports, you get your financial statements, your management accounts, your cash flows. So QuickBooks is quite popular. There's also Peachtree, a little older than QuickBooks, but those are good for startup businesses.
All right. Thank you very much. I saw a question coming in the chat, and it seems to have eluded me. No, it has not. I'm trying to find it. I think it was coming from Gavin Lowe, and it's not popping up here. Gavin, could you just type back a question? I saw it moments ago, but it apparently has disappeared on my feed. So if you type, oh, no, it hasn't. I'm seeing it. Okay, so the question is from Gavin Lowe: is equipment leasing a better and cost-effective option for startup business? Who would want to take that one? Is equipment leasing a better and cost-effective option for a startup business?
I could take that.
Okay.
Equipment leasing over outright acquisition has certain tax benefits, whereas you get both the interest portion of the lease payment and the principal portion of the lease payment as tax deductible in arriving at profit. So your profit on which tax is calculated is less for leasing. Also, leasing allows you to manage your cash flow, so rather than an upfront expenditure for acquisition, you lease the asset over time, and if you do a finance lease, the asset becomes yours and is recognized in your books at the end of its useful life. So there are tax benefits and cash flow benefits in equipment leasing. And most entities, companies now are going with leasing rather than outright acquisition.
All right. Thank you very much, Georgia. We have another question coming in from, no, not that one, from Mr. Thomas. And I don't know why my phone is not working with me this evening. And I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm getting it. Okay, let me go with this one from Alfred Thomas before I move to the other. How important is a lawyer to starting a business?
The functions of a lawyer are needed, similar capacity for an accountant. If you're going to start a company, remember we differentiated between businesses and companies. If you're going to form a company, it is advisable that you engage the services of a lawyer to look at the any shareholder agreements that you may want to draft, do the application to the company's office. And so there are benefits in procuring the services of a lawyer when you're going to register for a company. A lawyer is not needed. If you're going to register a business, a sole trader business or a partnership, because it's quite simple.
You just sign
and
up the form.
And the forms are self-explanatory. The company registration forms too are gives you the detailed explanation. But as I said before, if you're going to have like shareholders agreements and other additions to the structure of the company, you'd want to engage the legal services of an attorney.
Yeah, and if you visit the Company Office of Jamaica website, you'll recognize that they've now changed the system a couple years ago to a single form where you can just sign that up. Now, I have another question here from Mary Smith twice. You alluded to it earlier, Tanya, but the question is, could you talk about some of the business incubation services across Kingston and St. Andrew to help startups?
So one of the businesses that one of the services I would point to would be First Angels, which Georgia had spoken to. First Angels is, well, they're not a business incubation, but they are an angel investor network. They will tend to look at businesses that are at the very infancy stages and provide equity-type financing for those businesses. They also provide, within that, they provide mentorship and support and coaching to try to ensure that they're going to, that the business that they're investing in, obviously what they're trying to do is invest in the future of that business and the sustainability of that business. That is a very structured approach, which is one of the elements that you really look for in trying to start your business, because one of the issues is that when people are starting businesses, oftentimes they're not aware of some of the finer points, some of the issues that they're going to face as they go along, because sometimes you're learning as you're doing, and sometimes those lessons are very, very painful and expensive. There are other incubation programs across the board. One of the things that I will share is that the JBDC actually provides a lot of support for small businesses, but also for startups. So they have a range of services that they provide to these kinds of businesses, which would include being able to share with them some of the activities that they need to be doing to try to ensure that the business is on that they're setting it up to be on a solid footing. There is one that is up at I'm trying to remember the name of it, up at the University of Technology. That one has been around for some time, but again, that is another business incubation program supporting businesses as they're trying to actually set up that new business.
And just to add to that, the business incubator at the University of Technology actually provides office space, and support services to small businesses who may be need a location, and without a location, administrative secretarial services that will create that environment for growth.
All right. And let me put this to you. We're having a logistical nightmare now in various parts of the world based on what's happening with the Russian-Ukraine crisis and what's happening at sea. What can entrepreneurs do in this period? Because, in terms of products, so say, for example, I am a production company and I depend on the raw material that's coming in to get my business going. How can I pivot? What can I do within this period?
One of the things that the businesses are going to have to do is that they're going to have to explore alternatives. The reality is that the supply chain issues are real and they are expected to be ongoing for some time. There's a logjam right across, and it's not just the coming out of the pandemic, we did have supply chain issues, which was then further exacerbated by the fact that China went back into lockdown. So having restarted, they went back into lockdown, which is again, which ensured that we were not able to work our way out. And then Russia invaded Ukraine. So we are working in a scenario, in an environment where there's so many issues at play, that what you're going to find is that all business owners are going to have to be a lot more flexible about how they source their goods. They're going to have to be a lot more creative around how they source their goods. We cannot share here a solution, because there is not one solution. They are going to have to be flexible.
Okay, and we have come to the end of our discussion, but before we go, I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to make some closing remarks. Who wants to go first? Okay, I'll pick somebody. Georgia, you can do your closing remarks quickly, and then Tanya, you can follow.
I think the economic environment is quite adept now to businesses. The framework is in place in terms of regulatory framework, in terms of the ease of doing business. There are opportunities, as you mentioned, the logistic nightmare is for local producers to now step up to the plate. Several opportunities exist in construction, in IT, that we can make use of. And now is the time to start your business and adopt some of what we would have shared with you this afternoon.
Okay, Tanya?
So let me first and foremost, let me again thank you for having us here this evening. I would like to really sort of just jump onto something that Georgia just said, which is that, you know, the environment that we're operating in has provided actually a lot of opportunities as well as challenges. And I think it's really now just how we coalesce around some of those elements and try to lift our way out. We are right now going into another environment where we are going to be experiencing high inflation as well as the supply chain issues, which, you know, obviously all those things feed into it. We are resilient people. We've gone through much worse. And what I will say is that coming out of those really difficult times, what you have found is that people have really risen like the phoenix. And what I'm really want to share here is that we are encouraging our SME businesses to really engage with us to try to ensure that we can support our SME businesses as they seek to grow and expand, because at a very fundamental level, all of us in this room, all of us out there rely very heavily on our SME businesses being successful.
Thank you very much, Tanya. And you just heard from Tanya Algrove, Assistant General Manager, SME Business at the National Commercial Bank. And before her, you heard the closing remarks from Georgia Silvera Finnegan, Chartered Accountant and Tax Consultant. We have another break, and then we'll be back.
Live and work overseas, but you're building a house here in Jamaica. Because you're so far away, you're physically not able to go to a store for all your electrical and lighting needs. But did you know you could go to fosrich.com to make all your electrical, lighting, and solar energy purchases? Shop now and your relatives in Jamaica will receive the order delivered right at their doorsteps. Find peace of mind by letting Fosrich Company Limited worry about your lighting, electrical, and solar energy needs, LED bulbs, and Siemens products. Visit our website and shop now at fosrich.com/shop. Get your delivery at your door or office. At Fosrich, we serve you better.
And we're back. Thanks for staying with us. So, as we said earlier, it is ASI Jamaica Week 2022. We had Pastor Dane Fletcher on Sunday with his presentation. We started off with our spiritual journey. Yesterday we talked about the Jamaican economy, if it's heading in the right direction, and tonight we focused on starting and staying in business. Tomorrow night we're going to be going back to our spiritual feast. So we're going back to the theme of breaking out of the walls to enlarge our territory, and we'll be hearing from Elder Wayne Clark, and he's the president of ASI, the West Jamaica chapter. So you know that we normally put the things on YouTube before. Set a reminder so that when we go live tomorrow night, you'll be able to join us to hear what Elder Wayne Clark has to say. And if you've not yet subscribed to EJC, East Jamaica Conference's YouTube platform, please go ahead and do that. Just click that red button, which is usually on the right of your screen. So ensure that you subscribe so that whenever time we go live, once there's something posted, you'll be able to see it, you'll be able to hear it. Now, you've got a lot of useful tips tonight if it is that you want to start to execute that bright idea, or if it is that you want to make your business remain viable. Please share the YouTube link with your family and friends. If you have a friend who has a business that is struggling, share the link with them. And you can also go back and make your notes and share those notes with persons so that they'll be able to remain viable. Because as you heard earlier, We're having a very, very rough period now, but if each of us reach one, we'll be able to come through this crisis. So until tomorrow night, when we see you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. I am Andrea Chisholm Anglin. Stay tuned and keep listening to what ASI has to offer. Have a wonderful night.
There's a place for every worker in the vineyard of the Lord, where with all our powers united, we can toil with one accord. There are needy hearts now waiting for the help which we can give. Let us guide them safely onward. Let us show them how to live. There's a place, oh may I find it, where my mission I can fill. Be it humble or exalted, may I hold it with a will. Help to serve my generation with a heart of love and grace. Help me, Lord, from this time onward, find and occupy my place. There's a place for every teacher in the Bible training school, where our natures are made sweeter as we teach the golden rule. There are called for royal service, where we all may work and pray. Let us then be up and doing, teaching men the Savior's way. There's a place, oh may I find it, where my mission I can fill. Be it humble or exalted, may I hold it with a will. Help to serve my generation with a heart of love and grace. Help me, Lord, from this time onward, find and occupy my place. There's a place for every Christian in the church which we should serve, where we may uphold her standards and from duty never swerve. There are burdens to be lifted, there are hearts in pain and grief. Let us help the heavy laden, bringing comfort and relief. Oh, there's a place, so may I find it, where my mission I can fill. Be it humble or exalted, may I hold it with a will. Help to serve my generation with a heart of love and grace. Help me, Lord, from this time on.